as we talk about resumes and cover letters and using AI as your career coach assistant. That's what our subject matter is going to be here for the next 90 minutes. First, I want to talk a little bit about our partners. We partner with the Franklin and Bellingham Senior Centers, and we partner with Operation Hope and the Mass Hire Career Centers in Southbridge and in Springfield. There's always a Mass Hire that's close to you. Go to mass.gov/career centers in order to be able to see where all of those places are.
It is going to be a great and hopefully very interactive in some way, whether it's the chat or however you feel, workshop, and you take away a bunch of things for your resume. So let's start. How many of you have applied to a 10 or more job applications that are out there, or jobs that you've seen anywhere in your job search without getting a single interview? Right?
And you can put that in the chat.
Yep, you can put that in the chat. We're just trying to get an idea of, again, where you're sitting at this point.
Yeah, can you repeat the question, Melody?
Question: where does your resume stand right now? Right? And also, how many of you applied to a job? Um, Maybe 10 or more types of jobs.
So one person said, I don't know if you're watching the chat, Melody, but
No.
one person said they've applied to more than 10 and got one HR screen. Another person said I applied to 108 jobs over the last 9 months, and I've had 3 interviews.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, it's
Let's see.
yeah, let's see.
Yeah, I have several resumes. All are ineffective. 1,000 jobs and 6 interviews. Another person said applied for 10 jobs, had 2 interviews. Another person says searching for 6 months and has had 3 interviews. Um, only 2 responses since November.
All right. Gonna close the poll here. So let's agree to disagree. What do you feel that your resume, hang on a minute, trying to go to the next slide here. What do we think our job of the resume is supposed to do? Right? It is supposed to get you that interview, right? We need to get that interview. We need to be able to influence whoever we're talking to in order to want to know more about us. And that means in 2026, as stated below, right? We need to get through the ATS system. All right. We need to understand that people are not going to be seeing this right away. All right. And if they do see it, it's for a very short period of time. And if we need some assistance in order to be able to help us get through both of those, what I would call not a hurdle, just a gate, something we need to get through. All right. We can actually use AI to help us. All right. Give us some, maybe you might want to call it a leg up, maybe give us a little boost of something to start thinking about. But there are ways for us to be able to use this as an assistance for us. All right. But what we need to do, as mentioned in the previous workshops, is practice it, get comfortable with it, and put in the right prompts into whatever platform we decide to use so that you're getting the results that you're looking for. All right. And so here we go, right? ATS. It is very, very important. And does everyone, before I move on, does everyone know from our previous ones, you are familiar with some of the platforms that are out there, right? And if not, you can go to our website as a reminder to get some of that information. Things like ChatGPT, Claude, other things like that. Today, I'm going to be using ChatGPT to show you examples, but practice it, get comfortable with it, make sure you put your privacy settings on. All right. So looking at an ATS problem, all right, what you could do very easily is use the assistant to actually look at what the company is looking for, right? If you know that we have to apply online for an ATS through the ATS system, and we need to make sure that we have to have certain things in our resume, which we've talked about before and will further in this workshop, things such as keywords, things of that nature. You may not be able to pick them out right away. So you can use the assistant to help you pick some of those words out. All right. Simply by scanning, as we put here in the little light bulb moment, right, Eric? Put
Right.
it put it into your chat GPT or your Claude or whatever. Put that job posting in there and ask it a very key, poignant question. And we listed it for you. What are the keywords from this job posting that I should be including in my resume? All right. It only takes a few seconds. And Eric, is this where you're going to do that?
Yeah, as a matter of
All right.
fact, yeah, thank you, Melody.
I'm going to
Yeah,
stop sharing.
yeah, why don't you stop sharing? I will start sharing
Yep.
um because this is something that I did the other day. And I know that it's little tiny type and and all that, but
But it's very
what
important. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So what I did here was I took a job posting from Indeed, okay? And this job posting was for a medical care coordinator, right? And you can all see my screen, right? I'm guessing that you can.
I
Let
can.
me check. Yeah, it looks like you can. So what I did was I took this job posting that was on Indeed and I pasted it into ChatGPT with this question that you have up here. And let me just move a couple of things around here. What are the top 10 keywords that this employer is looking for? Okay, and here is what it spit back to me. Uh, Healthcare, medical customer service, obviously, insurance verification, call center experience, experience with electronic health records, uh, be able to do verbal and written communication, Microsoft Office, attention to detail. So this is all information that you can use to put into your resume in order to be able to tailor it to this very long job description. And it gave me this information in just a few seconds. So, and not again, not that we're saying that Chat GPT, or in this case, I used Claude. That just happens to be the one that is my favorite, but that you can put this information from the job posting and put it into an AI chatbot, and it'll help you in being able to massage, what you're going to have for your resume when you're tailoring your resume. So this might be something that you might want to try. And the other thing that I want to mention in just a few minutes here, I just got to find it. I do have a summary of this presentation, and I'm going to be putting it into the chat. And included will be all of these little call out boxes, like you saw that Melody had the little orange box at the bottom of the page there about here's what you can try in the chatbot of your choice. So I'm going to put that summary. It's a Word doc that I'm going to put into the chat. So you'll all be able to download it and you'll have all of the bullet points. You'll have all of these little call out boxes that you're going to be seeing and everything.
Again, putting the job description or what the employer is looking for, the job that the item that has enticed you to want to apply, right? Once we have those key words that they're looking for and the key essentials, and now you're crafting or you're tailoring your resume to include those, right? We also want to make sure that those bullets that we put underneath our employment or in the section that maybe we're highlighting, right? Depending on the format of our resume. All right. That we, so they're looking for some experience, maybe some education. We've gotten that with a project or something we've worked on, and that's highlighted in our resume. What I'm getting at is we want to make sure that that bullet is clear, right? That it's concise, that the reader is going to be able to understand what you're trying to do, right? And if you're not sure after you've used the, smart analogy, if you use that method, all right, or the star, right? There's a number of different things that you can use. You can also use AI to help you with that. Okay. So, what we have done is I've actually, in the, again, call out box, we've got a little bullet in here. All right. That, we're asking you to kind of read while you're on the screen. And, I'm asking you to think in your mind, what do you think this person is applying for? Right? What level of a role, let's say, all right, just by what they wrote. You know, I'm not sure if you'd be able to pick up on it. And so I ask you just to think about that for a moment. Um, how many people do you think it is that she's applying for a generalist role, like an entry level role? Or how many people do you think she's applying for a high level role? So let's say entry level role, show of hands. Okay. How about high level role? Show of hands. Well, remember, we want to be concise. We want to be simple. We want to, and what I'm going to do is show you by stop sharing this, but showing you, where did it go? Using AI. Thank you for all those that actually showed of hands. I appreciate that. I actually brought up ChatGPT and I used it from a standpoint is I'm writing a resume for somebody or I'm trying to help somebody, right? So I wrote in that, as a professional resume writer, would you suggest a better condensed bullet for the following, just for you to consider? All right, in your arsenal of things. I've shared this before. Information is power, right? So the more information you have, more options, like you say, the better you can be. So in doing so, of course, the tool came back and said, of course, there's other ways to write it. Here are some different ways you can write it condensed. So love the fact that it broke it down into different focuses. Well, why? Why do you think it might do that? It depends on the audience, right? So it depends on who I'm talking to, that maybe I might need to change some of the words a bit, give it a little different meaning or focus with the same or importance with the same underlying information. So you can see first one, concise and polished. Second one is more focused on results. One is more strategic tone. One has a more emphasis on scope and leadership. So again, I just share that you can use the Chat GPT tool for a couple things. One, if you don't know the different audiences that you might be talking to, here's a great way that you can format some bullets. All right. Also, if you're looking for additional options to see if you like the one that you wrote using other methods, this is another way to give you another benchmark. Okay. So I'm going to pause this because there's other things that I'm going to show you. And I'm going to go back into the presentation. Can everyone see it?
Not yet. We're still looking at the Chat GPT screen.
All right. Hang on. Stop share. Let's do this again. It will come up.
It will.
I know it will. How's that?
Yes. Yep.
Yay.
Yay.
Okay. I say have faith, right? All right. So again, this is to get you concise bullets. The first one using the tools is for keywords that maybe you haven't thought of. All right. Or you need a jumping point, a bounce, as they would say, a bouncing board to start off with your resume. Here's a way to get some concise bullets. What we do want to do is also make sure that, again, we're being clear, right? Because AI, as I've already mentioned, can give you different options with different impact, as I've just shown you. Both of these bullets up here are fine. All right, they're perfectly acceptable. And your choice of using which one or even changing some other words is typically based on who you're talking to and what you want to highlight. So we just want to make sure that again, you're looking at all your options to get your best foot in the door. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So here in this slide, all right, we are looking at, I got to move you. Hang on. We're looking at a couple bullets, all right, that could or could not be a miss if you were thinking about it. I ask you in your mind to think about, how would you rewrite this? How would you rewrite it? All right. And I'm going to give you a moment to think about that, because after what we just talked about, I think we do need to understand who our audience is, but more importantly, is there any way to make it more concise? Seems a little wordy. And so what I'm going to do is this: pause. And then I'm going to go back into ChatGPT and show you what I did. So moving you off to the side. Right, here's the bullet. All right. So if we remember, there were two bullets, all right, that they were talking about. The first one was decrease turnover by 80%. All right. And we thought it was a great, it was okay. And then the other one started with reduced overtime by 40%. We also, if you remember, going back to the slide, I asked you, can you see it?
Yep, we see the slide. Yeah.
Perfect. We, whoops, we asked, what do you think about this bullet? All right. Transitioned into, it was actually in the call out box, but I want to bring it up so that people don't think that I'm not giving you the information. It is there. I wanted to know, what do you think about this one? So when I paused it and went into ChatGPT and I wrote that bullet, which is right here, can this bullet be rewritten in a more positive tone? And if so, what would it look like? It said yes, and it gave us some different things. What I want you to notice is, and see if you picked up, it's missing a bunch of words, right? It's missing transition to internal recruitment. Maybe it's not important. Maybe that's something that can come up in the conversation. And I call that out because when we go back to, and hang on a minute, I'm going to share our slide.
Yeah. Could you go to the
That's what,
ChatGPT result, Melody?
oh, I was there. Let me go back.
Yeah, we didn't see that. So
Oh, all right, pause. Hang on. Here is the ChatGPT result. Can you see it?
no, no, still looking at the slide.
Gotcha. That's why. So there you go. Can you see it now?
It's coming up.
Perfect. So here's where I wrote it in,
Yep.
right? Here are the different options that came out. And again, they took out that first few that first few words as we did on our slide. It's not important. All right. It came up with just a few words, drove a 10%, achieved more value focused, more leadership focused. Again, more ways to condense your bullets is what we're trying to get at. Being concise to the target, aligning with what the company is looking for, not getting too wordy. All right, now I'm going to stop sharing this, going to go back to the slides again, because it's important that you see where, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so again, here is what we thought about this bullet originally, and then here is where we took out that whole first thing and started with reduced. Again, it may seem minor, but the point is that people's time is short, a short window to take in a lot of information. And if reducing hiring costs is extremely important to this company to get somebody in with that experience, don't talk about the fluff, right? You can talk about that in the conversation. If they see that you align with what they're looking for and they want to talk about it, that's where you can bring up how you did it. All right. And not fill the space on there. Just something to think about. All right, moving on to the next. You want to look at the strong results that are going to get you in the door to have that conversation. Because remember, that's the purpose of what the resume is. Okay. So, ooh, yeah,
Melody,
two similar. Go ahead.
I just want to ask, there's a question in the chat.
Love
The
it.
words like the words like benchmark, spearhead, and transition make us look dated. I wonder if asking ChatGPT to use more current language, what the result would be.
It
Huh.
doesn't hurt. And the
Hmm.
reason, and that's a really good question. I mean, things evolve and change, right? Our titles on sections on our resume have changed. So it's not a bad idea to make sure that we're staying current with the language that's going on in the world, in the industry that you work in the roles that you work in. So I think that's a great idea. And it isn't just, you could do it in Google, you could do it in ChatGPT, you could do it in any of the options that are out there, the software. I would say yes. Can't say it'll date it. I think you want to see the results of it. Would everyone agree? I think so. I mean, I have a
Yeah.
perfect example of it happens with what things are called. So cash register is now called a point of sale, right? Terminology goes away, it's replaced. So you definitely want to stay on top of what's going on and the language. I mean, what people coming out of the colleges and universities are saying and using and conversing are extremely important. You want to, again, let the people that you're interviewing with know that you're staying on top of your game. Eric, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I would agree about, what the person in the chat said about spearheaded. Yeah, that does, the word doesn't work for me, but using those action verbs like drove or led or, those types of things, those are going to be much stronger words for you to be able to put in there as bullet points in order to be able to help you get through and help you get through to the interview. That's
You
what
know,
the idea is.
Also, I think that's what I'd like to add here that's really, really important is, what does it say in the job description? If that's a key word that they're using, then maybe you do consider putting it in there, right? So that's another measure tool, right? Because you've already hopefully determined what are the key words that you need to sprinkle within your resume.
But again, as a couple of people have said in the chat, is that you need to uh, have it sound like you. And that's where George, this is about the time here where George might be doing his little
Yep.
speech about authenticity. It has to be like you.
Well, it
And
does.
I just got
Yes.
2 thumbs up from George, so
Yeah, it does.
yes.
I mean, you don't want to be fake because, again, you want it to be natural when you go in for that face to face interview or even on the phone. You don't want to stumble. You want it to come off like as as authentic as George would say as possible. Don't be fake. People can pick up on fakeness. All right, so let's talk about the 2 resumes that are up here. Eric, did you want to talk about these?
Well, these are just a couple of examples of, different styles and what this person, this actually a fake person, Pat Smith, did uh, with his resume
Mm-hmm.
was he tailored his resume in 2 different ways. And this is something that we talk about a lot in our presentations, is that it's just so important for it to be tailored to the job that you're applying for. In this case, this person talked about technical writing and instructional design, but also talked about training in the one on the left-hand side. Not so much about that on the right-hand side. So also, on the resume on the right-hand side, you could see that this person lists their skills and their certifications right up at the top before they got into their work experience. So, with you need to be tailoring your resumes, I guess is what it really comes down to. And that's where AI might be able to help you out with these things. With again, the dosage of authenticity that you need to be using. So,
Yeah. And this is a great time to, make that statement, and we're going to say it later as well. This is an assistant. This is, again, following on Zara's workshops. This is not the end all, right? So it needs the human review and touch and input. All right, because you do want it to, if you're using any of those tools to help you craft or start, you want it to certainly be accurate and coming across as if it's you. Okay. So, essentials according to experts. Well, who are the experts, right? Experts are people that are resume professionals, right? And there is an organization out there called the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Counselors. A lot of coaches, a lot of people with their own businesses, they obtain those certifications and credentials through a rigorous platform of sending in work, and then they critique other individuals' work in order to see if they meet the current standards. So they commonly are referred to as the CPRW, if you ever see those credentials. We cannot be specific on any of the grading elements, but the things on the screen are the areas that they certainly take under advisement. Each submission is reviewed and scored by a panel of judges, and their scoring is reviewed for consistency by a second panel, believe it or not. So if your resume passes the criteria for the CPRW certification, odds are it will please an employer who skims it. So, you know, it's not a foolproof science, but the likelihood of you getting that lead by paying attention to all the things that are on there and using the tools that are out there that we've spoken about in this workshop and also in previous things are going to help you with that. So let's talk about this slide. This form is going to show you, all right, the problems, right? Problems that people miss and how you can use this tool to help you. And some of these things that have been shared with us have been shared by the resume certification group. All right. So ask yourself, you know, would you use AI? Anyone want to say they would use AI for any of these things? Yeah. Is there anything that maybe you have forgotten? I mean, you don't have to share it with the group. I don't want you to feel like I'm putting you on the spot, but think about internally. From time to time, do you think there may be something that maybe you have missed and you could use some of the software that's out there to help you? It's not going to hurt. And if you use the privacy settings that Zara mentioned in her previous workshops, you will feel probably, as I do, more comfortable, right? So just think about it. All right. How,
Melanie,
go ahead.
we have one question in the chat that I parked here. This is Paula asked, I know we shouldn't be fake, but sometimes the job description includes responsibilities that are not necessarily your strongest skills, or you haven't had too much experience. She's wondering, can one word the AI prompt to suggest how to amplify a particular skill?
Well, you certainly can. Again, it goes back to writing the appropriate prompt, right, or question so that you get the right results, right? Um, if the employer, so this is my motto, even when it comes to skills, right, or software knowledge or something, if an employer or employers are looking for this and you're seeing it over and over, that should be a sign that maybe you are going to need that at some level. And so find a way to get some of that knowledge or experience if you can, whether it's through training or courses or whatever. Even if it's just the beginning, right? Let's say using an example that you might have, so that you can emphasize the things that you really strongly match with and not de-emphasize, but not focus on the things that you don't have as much experience, but you're saying, I have knowledge of, or I have exposure to, or use the right um, descriptor for your level. So an example in software, let's say, if you notice in Microsoft Office, a lot of employers are asking for all the different platform experiences and you don't have it. Well, I would start taking a course in what you're missing, entry level course, whether it's on um, LinkedIn or your library or whatever. So at least you can say, I have knowledge of it. I haven't had a lot of experience, but I am familiar and I'm a fast learner. I take, and then emphasize the other traits that you're very great at, right? Such as fast learner, always wanting to learn, take things on my own, those types of things. So I would say, rounding this up with a bow, yes, you can emphasize the things that you're strong in and not so focused on the things that you aren't, but show that you are aware that they're looking for it and you've taken some steps to do it. Does that make sense? Where you can, because obviously that's not going to be in every situation. But this is my motto also. If you have 65% of what they're looking for, don't hesitate in putting your application in your resume, right? Because they're not going to find the perfect candidate. They're not. And because there is no perfect candidate. That's why there's no perfect employer. But maybe some of these others are going to fall off, right? Some way through the process. So don't be afraid to put your hat in the ring, right? You never know what's going to happen. Eric and George, you have anything to add to that? Because that was a great question.
Hmm. George, are you looking at that question about AI agents that are screening resumes?
Yes, I've got a
Um,
couple of them here that I'm trying to park in
yeah,
I don't know if Melody wants to stop and address. We have 3 or 4 questions, Melody, that we could go to, but if you want to continue
Well,
on, I can park them.
no, if you would give me 1 second, let's park that for one moment, because I just want to get through this slide, I believe, and
Sure.
then hang on, and then yes, that'll be a perfect time to actually pause and take questions. Would
Okay,
you
great.
agree? All right. So the last thing I wanted to bring up here is, and again, this is all in your handout, as Eric mentioned before. Okay, there is what we would call like a flow, right? A resume flow that you might want to follow, and then a resume checklist that you can benchmark your resume against. Okay, so the flow, take the job description and post it into any of the AI tools that you feel comfortable with. Identify what those top 10 key skills are that they're looking for. Um, Skills, experience, you might want to say, depending on your field, what are the top 10 competencies, skills, and whatever else, right? And see what you can get out of it, right? They will list it out for you, as Eric showed earlier, right? Then you craft your resume or you massage your resume to what they're looking for the job description. And then perhaps maybe you post your current resume, the one that you've done, modified, and see if it fits, like compare it to the job description. Ask it to compare it. If you're not comfortable using AI, well, there's other platforms out there, but they are a form of AI, you know, JobScan and others, okay, that you can use. All right. And that again is going to help you identify if you got the keywords, what the level percentage is, things like that. And then you could also ask the AI tool of your preference, you know, what does it sound like to them? Does it sound like you match it? You can use a human to do that. Ask a partner, a friend, a spouse. All right. My point is there is a way to do it. Now, what I do want to show you one other thing, and then we'll pause, is if for some reason you're not comfortable, hang on a moment, benchmarking. Let me know if you can see this. Yes.
yes,
Okay. If for some reason you don't want to take I'm not saying that you're lazy, please. I'm not implying that to anybody here. But if you want to kind of get an idea, or you haven't gotten a resource book, or you just haven't taken the time to draft a template, you could actually, as I scroll up, ask it to actually draft you something that you then can go in and format to your liking and use it as a jumping off platform. So I asked it here very generically, as you can see, draft a resume for an HR consultant with 10 plus years experience in the manufacturing industry. I didn't say anything about the jobs or the employers or anything like that. But as you can see, it did print out something to start with. Obviously, if you don't like the up and down vertical for your contact section, when you copy it into your Word, you can manipulate that, put it in a header, change it around. It crafted out a professional summary, right? Or drafted out one. Well, work around it, massage it. For me, core competencies in HR, et cetera, showing some growth here. It doesn't know if I have my own company. It doesn't know what level I was when I was in the work field, but it's giving me the sections and things to think about for me to start my template. So I'm going to stop there. and again, there are other resources and things like that are out there, but I just wanted to show you that before we stopped and got into cover letters. But I do want to hear what these questions are. So let's go, George.
Sure. So, well, we have one from Larry that is, he says, another career professional recommended that each bullet on your resume should answer these three things: what you did, how you did it, and the result and the impact. Is that right?
Oh, sure. I mean, think about the STAR method, think about the SMART. Those two methods actually fit what you're just saying. So yes, they should have those three components in there, but
Sure.
concisely, and also depending on what you're trying to get across to the end user, you know, maybe some sort of quantitative numbers if people like numbers, or values or something of that nature. But yes, it should have those components in that, short and concise.
So Larry says, Melody, that he's done this, but it seems wordy for me. So I'm assuming he's done it through AI. Any recommendations? And Larry, if
Well,
you want to come off mute, and if I'm correct on
hear
that,
me?
are you talking about you've done it through AI?
I guess you can't hear me.
I can hear you, Larry.
Oh, you can
Oh,
hear
I'm
me.
sorry.
Okay, all right. My thing wasn't popping up. But no, I've done this throughout my resume with another career professional, and it just seems too wordy to me.
Well,
But if
have
I,
you run it through?
oh yeah,
Well, I guess my question is, and maybe I missed it. You have used other tools to
oh yeah,
make
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm heavy into the Chat GBT and going back and forth with it and customizing it in my own words. And I'm
Well,
also,
look at the sentences, look at the bullets,
yeah,
right? And, you know, you yourself pull out the fluff words, just make it a bullet that would warrant a follow-on conversation. Hit the highlights of what they're looking for, how you did, what you identified, what you did, and what the
and the
result
result,
was.
in which I try to make it quantitative as much as I can, and putting numbers in percentages and
Yep.
that type of stuff to kind of capture what I did. But yeah,
And
no, I'll go
sometimes,
back. I'll go back and try to narrow it down. Just seems too wordy to me. But I'll take another look at it. Thank you very much for your insight.
well, if you think it's too wordy, then it probably is. So that's why I'm saying you need to go back and look at it, right? And pull out those, what I call fluff words,
Yeah.
right?
The only thing is, just one other comment is I'm trying to also keeping the keywords, so I get the keywords in the ATS matching too. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
So it's kind of a catch-22 type of thing. I'm trying not to be too wordy, but I got to include the words as much as I can in the thing.
Well, that leads us into the next section of the workshop, which is the cover letter and the importance of the cover letter, right? Because, and everyone has a different thought process of the cover letter. And I'm not going to get into it because I know we got other questions, but there's a reason for the cover letter. It's another opportunity for you to showcase your skill sets where you align with what they're looking for, your desire and passion for wanting to work there. So now you have two tools, what I call marketing tools, to promote yourself, right? And yeah, you might not want to duplicate things, so that again it gives you another platform. And then of course you got LinkedIn, right? LinkedIn is a third opportunity. Again, depending on what you want to do in that about section, it's a great opportunity for you to do your why, what drives you, what you're looking for, all of that stuff. That way, for all of you on the call, when the HR professional or the recruiter is doing their homework, which is part of their job, doing their homework on their candidates, right? They can see how it all aligns and it ties together. The last thing you want to do is have something that doesn't align, it doesn't represent you, doesn't sound like you. I mean, yeah, you want to have it all branded, which is another way of saying that represents you.
Love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. What's the other questions, George?
Well, I want to add one thing for Larry. Larry,
Yay.
it might be helpful to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's reading. Make believe you're reading the resume and somebody handed it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So you give up ownership for a minute because these mental blocks, right? That's it, because it's all about me. So get out of the me mode and act
Yep.
like you're a hiring manager and somebody just handed you that resume.
Yep.
How would you like to hear that restated more concisely? Right. So do that quick exercise a few times and take a jab at it.
Great
Anyway,
point. Yep.
Thank you, George.
yeah. So moving on, Melody, we have a couple of, as Eric referred to, the AI agent questions and ATS, right? So AI agents that are screening resumes are ruling out people who clearly appear to use AI to write the resumes. Is that something that is actually happening? And I'll throw a couple more of these that might be able to help you condense them. I heard that bulleted lists, 2 or 3 columns, was an issue to avoid. Do ATS possibly, because ATS possibly stumbling over them and columns. So I think those are kind of related to ATS questions. And
Yep.
there's a few more here too, but we'll start with that.
Well, back in the day, they were stumbling blocks, but the ATS systems have come a long way. So some of those things have been removed from the process as far as not allowing the movement forward of resumes. It's also going to depend on the company, right? Do they have the latest versions? I mean, it's not a cookie cutter answer, unfortunately. So we say, let's try and eliminate any hurdles that will eliminate you from moving forward, right? So, there's other ways to list things other than columns, right? There are those can be horizontal with a character in between them, or it could be centered. It could be, I mean, there's a number of ways. So I'm going to stop with that for a minute. Do you have anything to add, Eric and George, with regard to like bullets?
Well,
I
I
think
would just say that yeah, that I agree with you that ATS systems have come a long way. Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like they can, back in the way back in the day, like in 2021, we used to say, oh yeah, you don't want it, you only want to use a Word doc, when you're uploading something to an ATS. You don't want to use columns, even bullet points. It might not be able to read correctly, the little bullet point, but they have come a long way. So they can handle simple columns now. They can handle PDF files. They can handle Word docs, of course, and that type of thing. So things have come along, but as Melody said, your mileage may vary, depending on what the ATS system is that the employer is using. So, George, you were going to say something?
Well, Eric, what about headers and footers? Somebody asked that. I know that was another one that was common to avoid headers and footers.
Right, right. I would still avoid headers and footers. Yeah, yeah, because ATS systems, I believe that they still have problems with that. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
put, when you're putting your name and your LinkedIn and your phone number on the top of the of your resume, don't put it in a header. Put it in the actual body of the document.
hmm And Lisa put in, she said she was once, she thinks she was removed for being exaggerated in quotes or overqualified. The ATS system, too much use of keywords, or all the keywords. So some kind of a filtering that the ATS has that, oh, this is too much, right? Could that be the case? I guess it's your question.
Well, can I just take that for a second, Melody?
Yep,
You
yep.
know, I would agree, and that's why in what you're going to see in the summary is you have to remember that AI is not your author. It's your assistant.
Right.
So use it as an assistant. You are the author. Be authentic in your resume and your cover letter.
And, and if you know, and again, it depends on the job description, and you will know that because you're going to thoroughly read that job description and know what the employer is looking for. So, my point to that is if you're overqualified, which probably maybe a lot of you would be, maybe or not, all right, you need to recognize that and get across to the individual if they're not looking for somebody at your level, that you recognize that. All right. And that is an opportunity in your professional summary or maybe in your cover letter to be able to do that. Again, if there are adding to that, if there are screen out questions that the individual employer has chosen to screen their resumes by, there could be some questions in there. I'm not saying that. Let's put it this way. If I had an entry level position, and even if I wrote it that I was open to X plus years of experience or X, university levels, I don't know if I really would be bringing in a doctorate or a professor for an entry level position. I'm going to think automatically, way out of my league. Why are they applying? Right. And you would need to be able to persuade me in that cover letter or that professional summary why you're looking to come to me. Because otherwise, I'm probably going to reject you. All right. I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. I mean, I'm going to be very transparent. All right. So there's a big gap there. All right. Easier to swallow if I'm looking for, a manager, even a director going to manager or VP, or because maybe they're at a point in their life where they don't want that level of experience or whatever. I get it. Okay. You'd work hard, you get to a certain point. I'm not here to judge, but when I'm seeing too far of a gap or I'm not looking for a PhD, you know, I'm probably going to have that as a screen out question. So you got to keep that in mind too, if that makes sense to everybody.
Thank you, Melody.
You're welcome.
Also, quickly, there's Karen had put in earlier a question about AI agents screening resumes, ruling out people who clearly appear to use AI for their resumes. How do you feel about that? What have you heard in the market?
Well, there is software. I mean, no, there is no doubt there's software out there that can probably pick that up. Schools are using it. I think maybe I'm wrong. I thought maybe I don't know if Zara touched upon that, but there is. All right. I I don't know. I think it would depend on the organization, the level of it, and why they want people to be honest and credible. All right. Think about it, whether you're in academia or you're working in the, the world, okay, in the public sector, private sector. You don't want to be seen as a stealer or a plagiarist or anything like that. All right. So we do encourage you to rewrite things or use it as a jumping point. I also ask you to use LinkedIn. I've said this a number of times. Look at other LinkedIn profiles in your field to see how they how they have experience or what they use as skills, all right, or what's important in those fields, all right, to give you some memory joggers of things maybe you've forgotten about, all right. But I'm not saying, you know, take it verbatim. I'm not. So, is there software out there? Yes. Do certain companies use it? I'm sure. All right. Have I seen a problem with that? No. But I'm not saying that more and more aren't going to be looking at it. That's my experience at this point. Eric, what do you think?
You know, I haven't been on the cutting edge of a lot of that stuff here over the last couple of years that you have been, Melody, to tell you the truth. So I'm deferring to you
Yeah.
about what you know. Yeah. Yeah. So
I mean, there's no doubt that it's out there.
yeah.
Melody, I think even beyond the software, I've heard a lot in my travels about the language is already um, um, enough. It's been out there enough where even the HR people are starting to, they're in tune. So you think about it, it's just a repetition of the common language. That's all
Yep.
LLM is, right?
Yep.
So they can, if their hackles go up, you don't want to be on that side of the street. You don't
Right.
want to have them questioning anything.
You don't.
So even if it's not the software, even if it's just somebody reading it that says, this sounds like the last 50 resumes that I've read, it's going in the same basket.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So just be careful of that. And I'm not sure how you're doing on time, Melody, but it's about 11 o'clock now. And I have one more question I think is somewhat relevant that I wanted to get to. And it is
Can I throw
about,
one stat out and
sure.
we'll see how what we take away from this. So while you were talking, I Googled using AI, right? What is the percentage of companies using AI to screen resumes to see if they're actually, using them? My words were, are companies using AI to screen people's resume for use? And again, that's not necessarily exactly, but basically it's saying yes, more and more companies are using AI software and machine learning to scan, rank, and screen resumes before human resources see it. 88% of companies are doing it from a high application volume. That isn't
Mhm.
exactly what that person was asking, but I
Yeah,
did do a
yeah,
quick Google.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway.
And thank you for that, Melody. And one other thing too is that Karen asked and Jerry counted on, or somebody else, oh no, Larry asked and Karen also commented on this question, which always comes up.
Yep.
If I have to make a customized resume for each job description, it gets very confusing when compared to my LinkedIn profile, which I can't, obviously, you don't want to be going in and continuously changing your LinkedIn profile. So if somebody's being flexible in applying for, my assumption here is that what Larry is saying is if he's going to apply for different kinds of jobs, and each
Mm.
job description needs to have its own specific resume. How does that match up with your LinkedIn profile, which is a
Well,
common question, right?
is there a way to, step away for a minute? Is there a way, the question would be, is there a way that I can take all my experience and knowledge, so what I have, and offer it to either multiple industries, or are we looking at multiple different jobs in different industries? So again, you got to ask some questions here, which I don't know. But for me, what I wanted to do is I wanted to be an HR professional. I looked at the fact that my skill set is transferable to any industry generically. All right. And that, yes, there has to be some industry knowledge or product knowledge based on the business I support, but the basic fundamentals could go anywhere. So the way I wrote my professional summary is not general, but you know, something to the effect of I don't want to say seasoned HR professional, but experienced professional in HR industry, with a dynamic or broad um, excitement to move into other industries, looking to blah, 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 right? So that when somebody looked at my LinkedIn profile, they could see what I do, and that I was open. Because if they went back and looked at my work history, they might see, as an example, that maybe I worked in different industries, or that was the basis for me starting my own company. So I just say, think about it in a way that we can consolidate it and then present it. Does that make sense?
Well, and Melody, if I could just offer, I mean, don't we say for the LinkedIn profile anyway
Yep.
that it should be that it should be more generic than
It's
your
about your
resume
why,
is?
right? Why do you do what you do? What gets you up every day or got you to get into that field? I mean, and this is another example, right? You could look at other about sections of people on LinkedIn to see how they and we've done this in some of our workshops where we have some snapshots in the resume workshop, or one of the other workshops. Oh no, it's LinkedIn, where it's got different about sections, and you could see why people do what they do, what what drives them to the point that they're now being represented out there in the light that they want to be seen. So yes, Eric. And that's what you
Melanie,
get.
this is Karen.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I have changed my LinkedIn to be very generic,
Yep.
but I'm also hoping to get into freelance and consulting. So I also think freelance and consulting are dated words.
Mm-hmm.
So what language would you recommend for somebody that is just, I guess I'd call it a side hustle, just looking for things to do, but not necessarily full time?
Well, first of all, I mean, forget about AI. I mean, we used to use things like the thesaurus and things like that back in the day, right? I would throw those words in and find out some other words that could be used in place of those if you feel that that might be something that you want to change. Okay. I use consultant. I am an HR consultant. I'm a professional HR consultant. I was an HR professional throughout all my career, where when I left the manufacturing industry, I was an HR business partner. And you can see that in my LinkedIn profile. You can see that on my CV when I use it. But on my about section, it talks about how I wanted to now help small and medium sized businesses with the experience and knowledge that I bring to the table for companies that don't necessarily have that depth. So that's why I started my business. I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. I love all facets of it, which a lot of people can't say. And I also was looking for the challenge, the the difference every day. I didn't want to just do manufacturing. I wanted to do all kinds of things. So that ever changing day was very exciting for me. So I worded it and I reworded it and I had people read it. And, so there's work behind it, but that's what I would recommend. Find some alternative words. Um, Look at other people that might be that where you might want to head, right, in the area that you want to support. So maybe look at some of those profiles. Use AI tools to see if you can get some other ideas, and then land on what's comfortable for you. you know? And then remember, it's not the end all. It doesn't mean you can't change it. So you write it in LinkedIn, you leave it up for a little bit. If it doesn't feel like it's working for you, we go in and we reshape it a little bit. I'm not saying you want to do that on a regular basis, but I am going to say from a LinkedIn perspective, you do want to go in, so that you can keep bubbled being at the top of the food chain. So you are going to want to go in and make some subtle changes. I'm not
Mhm.
saying rewrite the whole about section. You could do that very easily by one word or whatever. But my point is don't feel that it has to just stay there, because if it's not working for you, you can go in and reshape it a little bit.
Right.
Right.
I just saw, I'm sorry,
Go-
I didn't mean
no,
to.
no, no, go ahead. I don't know if
I just saw,
freelance would be something you'd want to use, but again,
yeah,
land on the word that feels that represents you.
I've been using freelance consultant, but Larry just put something in the chat.
I love
Fractional
it.
consultant. I've looked at ChatGPT and I've also received that as feedback, fractional consultant.
Yeah.
What is that?
I have
What do
no
they
idea.
mean?
That was my
I
question.
Can I
I don't
interrupt
know.
for a second, please? I just want to make sure that we're on time here. So
Yeah.
we're great dialogue, but Melody, I just want to, kind of nudge a quick
I do
prompt
appreciate
to look
that,
at the content.
George. Does that help you, Karen?
Yeah, I just saw the response. Yes,
All right.
thank you.
And Candy has had her hand up for quite a while, so she's
Candy, go
probably
ahead.
tired of.
Thank you. I'll go back a little bit regarding the different resumes
Yeah.
and the difference between that and a LinkedIn, what you have a LinkedIn profile. But what I've done is I've used my summary of qualifications on my individual position-specific resume to address the qualifications of a job. And I mean the qualifications section, like the required qualifications,
Yep.
not
Yep.
maybe the role, individual responsibilities part, but that chunk reflects, maybe not verbatim, but definitely the main keywords are reflected, and in that priority order that is in the job posting, in the summary of qualifications, and then my individual roles and what I did as bullet points stay fairly the same, and that's what is in my LinkedIn profile. Once in a while, if I see something I need to make adjustments that I did but aren't, covered in my bullet points, I'll make amendments to individual bullets. But that helps me to not have to do so much heavy lifting in
Yep.
terms of between my LinkedIn and my resumes for specific jobs. Another thing that I've done is taken to putting the exact title of the role as part of director, whatever, summary of qualifications, and then the bullet points. So then the job title itself acts as a keyword that is referenced in my resume. So I don't know, hopefully that's helpful.
Candy, that's beautiful. And this is, I am going to say, great sharing. And that's what our workshops are all about. I'm deviating a little bit, but it's about sharing experiences, knowledge, information that can help others, throughout this, journey that you're all going through. Because at one time or another, we're all been in the job seeker seat. All right. So that's a great way to stay organized, lessen the burden. I also do something called the master resume. Again, I don't know if that's appealing to anybody, but for those that are interested, it's basically putting everything in the kitchen sink on your resume, and it's your master, right? And then using that as a save as to the job that you're applying for, maybe saved by the job description, the company, the date, whatever your method is, and removing the things that don't apply. Right? You've already done the work. Yes, you might have to massage. Yes, you might have to put a few keywords in there, but the basics is done. Again, just a suggestion. And that's because at the whatever phase you are in the employment journey, it takes time and work and effort to gather all that information and get it down. Right? And I don't want you to have to do that 50 million times. So again, just another suggestion. All right, I'm going to move on if everybody's okay, because I really would like to get into the cover letter section.
Yeah, Melody,
Yeah,
can I just make a suggestion that
yeah,
maybe we should skip over the breakout
yeah,
because it
I'm
is
fine with that.
quarter after 11. Yeah, yeah.
Yep, yep, I'm fine with
So
that.
to skip ahead to the next slide, we
Yep,
were going to try and get everybody together to to talk about cover letters, but we're
But so this is
we're
what we
running
were
a
going to
little
do.
short. Yeah.
Share your thoughts on about a cover letter, right? Why do you include it? Why do you exclude it? Blah, blah, blah. It was supposed to be a conversation amongst all of you. But the reality is this. A lot of people we have heard do not, that they feel that cover letters are outdated. They feel that it's a waste of time. They don't have enough time. There's a variety of different reasons, okay? But this is our position. It's another opportunity to help you. It's another, what I call, marketing tool for you. No one's going to know anything about you until you put it down on paper and tell it to people or show it to people. So it gives you an opportunity to tell them why you're interested in working for them, right? And it also gives you an opportunity to showcase not just your transitions or gaps that you may have on your resume, but also, more importantly, maybe another opportunity of how you align with what they're looking for. My thing is if you have a bunch of bullets under each position that might match what they're looking for, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket on your resume, in other words, right? You want to sprinkle a little in your cover letter, a little in your resume, an overview in your LinkedIn profile. Again, it's to entice people to want to know more about you, to get to know what you can bring to the table, to resolve their vacancy. Whether the vacancy is because of a leaver or whether it was because of newly created or whatever the case may be. Think of it as if you are the aspirin for their headache. And we've said that before. So the cover letter must do two things. It needs to get their attention and think about, again, the fact that they're only looking at it for a little bit of time, and also that it conveys to them the message of why you want to work for them. Okay. You also want to, showcase your passion, and that will align with your professional summary and also your LinkedIn profile. All right. In some form or manner. When it comes to your branding is what we talk about, how you're presenting all your material. Is it the same font? Is it the same format? All of those things are an opportunity for you to stand out amongst the crowd. And what I like to say is thread it together. Think of it as you've got your cover letter, now you get a thread to your resume, a thread to your LinkedIn. It all ties in and represents you. All right. So, you can also use tools to not only visually look at it like your friends, your family, your coworkers, but you can use software out there to see if it looks formatted or branded. Back in the day, I did color schemes. I did all kinds of things. This also can tie into those that might have business cards, right? As you're networking and you're handing out a contact card for those to reach out to you and maybe have a follow-on conversation. Great opportunity to align that, again, with your letterhead per se that you're using your cover letter on, your resume on, all right? And again, maybe the picture on your LinkedIn profile. All right. So going back to this real quick, sorry. We have CEOs that, want to promote themselves, right? So Tom Peters says we are all CEOs of our own company. That means we are responsible for promoting ourselves. And I said that before, no one else is going to do it but you. So keep that hat on as you're presenting yourself. Companies use branding to differentiate themselves and their products. You know that. Right? Things resonate with you. So you want to be able to resonate with them or have them resonate with you. Job seekers must do the same thing. An easy way to start is by simply using the same header on all your documents. In other words, creating your own letterhead, right? The simple step can lead to the name recognition and set the letter writer apart from other job seekers in what I would call a sea of white paper. All right. We want to know why you're excited. Right? You need to come up with, some statement of why you're passionate about what you're doing, but we caution you to be careful. Don't fall into the cliche statements, right? You know, because as Eric would say, and I'm going to say, are you really excited about applying for a job?
Yeah, I would sometimes get them that would say, I am thrilled to apply. And it's like, really? You're thrilled? I
Yeah.
mean, that's kind of a big emotion there so I'm not sure that I believe you when you say that. So anyway, yeah, so try and avoid those cliches. And AI might resort to those cliches.
Right. Right. So again, if that's not how you would talk or what you would say, or is that really the right word to convey to the reader what you're feeling or why you're applying, then question it in your gut and maybe rewrite it. All right. There's no harm and foul. Again, you're just getting some prompts from the software assistant. Okay. 2 methods to open strong on your cover letter, right? We talked about this before. It's your why. And it's not just on your cover letter, it's on your LinkedIn profile too, right? So why do you do what you do? Why, all of that is very important. What are you passionate about, right? It's vital to catch the reader's attention in the first paragraph, preferably with the first sentence. There are many possibilities, and here are 2 ways to do it. Right? Start with your why and immediately talk about your accomplishments. All right. I'm moving a little quicker. So here's a couple examples. All right. I'm applying for research, and you guys can read this. I don't really need to read it to you, but you can see, it kind of draws you in. Again, think of yourself now as the owner of the company, and you're interviewing for bringing people into your company. Don't you want to know what drives them, what excites them, why they got into what they do? Or maybe they're at the early stages of their career and you get the chance to shape and mold them, right? So think about that as you're applying for jobs. And again, you can use AI, Google, or any of the other tools and software that are out there, okay, to help you write that why. But we caution you that AI is not the end all. They're not the actual author. You are. You need to read it and make it sound like you. Because if you go into the interview and you're not sounding like what we read, we know there'll be a disconnect. Anything here you want to add?
Well, you'll see in the blue box there about the AI prompt to try, which you're going to see in the Word doc. That is the summary there. And this prompt actually gets into a lot of detail about the Simon Sinek method to be able to, because his book is called Start with Why. So, that gives you a little information about that. But again, make it your own.
Yep, love it. Now, the other method which we mentioned, which was to start with your accomplishments, looks like this. All right. So it's bringing the things that you have done up to the top, right? So because remember, the first 8 seconds is all somebody is going to be looking at on your cover letter and your resume. So if you want to reel them in, right, you need to put some things in there that may be aligned with what they're looking for, right? So that they're going to want to know more about you. So this is just another way to do it. And again, you can certainly use AI to help you with that. Okay. All right. You want to make the cover letter. Here's some a template roughly of what a cover letter could look like. You could fill it in, keep the template on your desktop, on your computer. So all you have to do is fill it in, wordsmith it slightly, and there you go. You don't have to recreate the whole thing. As an example, there is a wide spectrum between, 2 different kinds. And so, You want to make sure that when you're closing, you're not closing like you're begging for a job, or you're, begging, or you're a wimp or anything like that. You want to strongly close with confidence and letting them know you want to connect with them and that you're the guy for the job or the gal for the job. You're really interested in it. Okay, finally, do's and don'ts. So here are some do's. Here's your summary for success. You can't go wrong if you use this one slide as your guide when writing cover letters for your clients or yourself or anyone else, depending on what you do on this call. So certainly take a picture of it, but it's really important that you get the right meaning across. And if you're not sure if you're getting the right meaning across, have somebody else read it. Don'ts, okay? Address, again, listed on here, very easy and clear. If you can get the name of somebody, it's great to be able to do that. You don't want to over exaggerate. You want to make sure that you have no grammar or typos. I mean, it's just common sense, right? You don't want to represent yourself in a sloppy, unprofessional manner. The goal, again, is to represent yourself in the light that you would want to be seen if you were interviewing others. And with that said, here's a nice little chart that AI can help you with and not help you with, meaning do's for the AI component and don'ts for the AI component. All right, because AI can misrepresent. It is not factually always accurate. It will add in things that perhaps are not true. So you need to actually wordsmith it. And that's it. All right. So with that said, I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, one other thing. In your handout, this is the resume checklist that you're going to see that you certainly can bounce your resume off of if you would like. But like I said, it's going to be in your handout that we have for you. So with that said, any questions? It's 11:30 on the nose.
Melody, I have one that's very relevant to the cover letters.
Yep.
Bill asked, let's see, or somebody asked, is the ATS system smart enough to segregate the cover letter from the resume and not disqualify you if you combine them into the same attachment? And which is a tip that I often offer is,
Yep.
If you want to put a cover letter in, make it if there's no place to put it in the filing system that is offered to you, attach it to the bottom of your resume. So make your resume 2 pages instead of just one.
There's also, I believe, software out there that will actually put the two together.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So if your resume and your cover letter, if you can turn them into PDFs, you can use a website that is called ilovepdf.com, and you can combine those pages in that online software, and it's free. You can use it to combine your cover letter and resume, and then you can upload it to the ATS.
Yep. So one thing that we didn't talk about briefly, yes, I talked about it a little bit, but not something else that I would share. When not only is the cover letter really important for you to have another opportunity to present your skills, your knowledge, your why, it also is something that, Eric, I'm sure would attest to. If I'm asking for a cover letter and you don't attach a cover letter,
Yeah.
that's attention to detail. And that, it could be an indicator that I may not want you on my team.
Yep.
Right. So if we're asking you to do something, you should be doing what we're asking you to do. Again, if you don't have a means to what George just asked to actually load your cover letter, I would always say do what Eric just mentioned, and that is to combine the two and load it up. Because again, I think the cover letter is really, really important, even if they don't ask for it. Because we don't have a lot of opportunities to get in front of somebody to talk about our skill sets and knowledge. And the more opportunities you have, the better. So at a networking group where you have somebody's face-to-face attention, you don't want to bore them with you, but you want to hook them. You want to know about them. You want to hook them about you and then carry that on at another time. All right. You have your business card, your cover letter, your resume, your LinkedIn profile. You also have people that know you, right? Maybe people that work at that company that can pass your resume on. You got to find as many opportunities to promote yourself, whether it's on paper, whether it's verbally, whether it's through somebody else, whether it's through software, because again, there's so many people out there in the unemployment pool these days. And as I've alluded to, you're in a sea of white paper. We've got companies getting hundreds and hundreds of applications, and they're using software to make it easier for them to focus on the ones that really are of interest for them to know more. So we need to make you stand out, differentiate yourself. Anything else? I know that sounds like a rant. I'm sorry.
No, I wouldn't say that. Somebody had asked in the chat about how you can sign up for other sessions here that we're doing about the AI in your job search.
Do you want to
And
bring up
even
your
if you're
slides?
interested in entrepreneurship and all that kind of stuff. No, I think I'm good actually.
Okay.
So what you can, I just put it in the chat here, and I'm going to do it right now. Actually, oops. If you want to sign up for the rest of the series, you can go to 50plusjobseekers.org/AI. So there you can see all of the remaining sessions that we have coming up. George, were there any other questions or comments, or Melody, any parting thoughts or anything like that?
Erica, there were a few questions in the chat about the slides. We won't be sharing the slides, but the recording should be available on our website, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna, we'll take a look at the recording because we did record today, and I'm gonna have to edit it. I'm gonna have to, massage it a little bit to, because we want to make Melody look good. I mean, she
Yeah.
already looks good, but we want her
Yeah.
to, she's the best, and we want to make sure that she's represented as the best. So I'm going to need to edit, a couple of little things out there. But that is my idea that I'm going to put it up on the website. Yes, and she will be up on YouTube forever and ever. So
And we've got
that's
the handout and maybe the summary of the notes. So
right. And the summary, I think, is pretty good. It's going to give you a lot of information, and it has all the content of the slides in there. So
it actually has
anyway,
all the call outs too, just so
it
that you
does.
can align with them for the slides. It's like a memory prompt for you if you want to go in and play with it, right? No matter what software you do or use, or even if you use multiples to see what different ones come out. That's the other thing you can do. If you got the time, play with it. See what Claude spits out, see what Chat GPT spits out. Who knows, right? Maybe the combination of them will be exactly something that you forgot about, and now you're like, ooh, there we go.
Yeah.
Will we be
Excellent point.
emailing
Yeah,
that,
George.
Eric? Will we
Yeah.
be emailing that out to the attendees?
The summary, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, you mentioned people will get the summary. Will we be emailing that, or
So what we're going to
happen?
do is we'll be putting all of that information up on our website at 50plusjobseekers.org/insights. And right there, you're going to see, and it'll say 50 Plus Job Seekers AI series. And you'll see all the summaries, handouts, and that type of thing are all going to be right on that page. My plan is that I will put the video at the link to the video on that page as well. So yeah, that's what that's what my plan is that.
Great. Thank you, Eric.
So
All right. Well, thank you again for spending your
thanks,
morning with
everybody.
us. We really appreciate it. We're hoping that this hands-on workshop, it was very beneficial for you, and we wish you the best of luck.